My favorite kind of entertainment is the kind that sneaks up on you. The kind that maybe you didn't love at first, but after revisiting years later, you find way more than you ever could have predicted. My first experience with 2018's God of War was met with a large amount of meh. I mean, it's a fun game, but it's such a simple story, which on revisit isn't a bad thing at all. I remember one of my film professors telling me, write simple stories with complex characters, not the other way around. I think a big part of my lack of enthusiasm the first time through came from an expectation that the story itself was supposed to live up to how epic the combat and music was. God of War is a very, and I cannot stress this enough, very simple story. It's about a father and son who journey to the highest peak in all the realms to spread Mama's ashes in her memory. That's it. And somehow this point A to point B story was stretched out into 25 hours of game. How, you might ask? Well, God of War has a lot of what I like to call strategically placed filler. At the beginning of the game, our characters are making their way up to the highest peak, but whoops, the bridge is covered in black breath, so they have to find a lady that knows how to find another thing in a different realm so that our heroes can get that thing and bring it back so she can make an item that will dispel the black breath. Are you following so far? After making their way up the highest peak, they find out that it's not actually the highest peak. The place they're looking for is actually in Jotunheim, but they can't get into Jotunheim because Odin cut off the bridge to get into that realm. So Kratos and Boy have to find an item to get into that realm, but oh no, they're stopped by both of Thor's sons, and that makes Atreus really angry, and he ends up getting really sick, so you take Atreus back to the lady that knows everything about anything. She tells you that the only way to save Atreus is to go into hell and retrieve an eye that she can make into a potion that will cure his sickness. So Kratos, alright, you know what, this isn't a God of War Explained video. The point is, whenever I played this game for the first time, I constantly felt so defeated. The game makes you feel like you're making great progress, only to knock you back down and throw a new, busy work objective in front of you. But every time the game does this, I ignored what it was actually trying to do. Every time our heroes come across a conflict or a puzzle or a dungeon, the game always opens itself up to develop our characters. Even if it's just a little bit. Even if it was in the places you would never expect. I remember doing a side quest and coming across a spirit who told me that his son had killed him. This kind of hits Atreus in a weird way since, you know, he's with his father when he's hearing this. And throughout the entire quest, Atreus kept bringing up how he couldn't believe that the man had killed his own father. Who would do such a thing? Well, Kratos, actually. And these are things that Kratos is eventually going to have to tell Atreus, and waiting for these moments in the game is just so special, so satisfying, that I couldn't help but love the game on my revisit. The characters are given so much love and attention, and there are so many minute details I forgot about in this game. After Kratos reveals Atreus' godhood to him, Atreus becomes very hot-headed and even stops listening to his father. There are even segments in the game where Atreus won't listen to your commands, and he'll just kill enemies at his own will. And it's that attention to detail that makes the story so impactful. But enough about the story. There is only one reason to play God of War. The combat in God of War is the bread and butter of the game. Fighting enemies is a lot of fun, but if you feel like you're not getting enough action on each encounter, definitely switch this bad boy to Give Me God of War mode. Playing God of War on this difficulty made it one of the hardest narrative-driven games I've ever played, and I didn't even notice how much I died until the end credits rolled. There would be some combat encounters where I would die 10, 20, maybe 30 times, but I would keep coming back because you never really feel like an encounter is too much to handle. The difficulty brings out the best aspects of combat and really makes you rely on all your resources in all the best ways. The Leviathan Axe, the Chaos Blades, arrows, combo specials, you can throw your axe and recall it, you can do this. Did I mention you can recall your axe? I've played through the game 3 times now, and I am nowhere near burnt out on the combat. This rendition of God of War really does nail everything it's trying to do, but if I had any hopes for the sequel, I'm really wanting a driving force to push the story forward. I love the characters, the action, and the epic orchestral symphony in God of War, but if I had one complaint, I feel like a few hours could have been removed to really chop off the slow puzzles and repetitive story elements, and I have a strong feeling that the driving force of Ragnarok will be enough to carry my interest throughout the entire game. And the fact that a game this quiet and subdued ended up being this epic only means the sky's the limit for the sequel. So with all that, I gotta give this bad boy a strong 96%. And I can't wait to see what Santa Monica does this year. Because it is coming out this year, right? 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 Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe and like that smash button. I'll see y'all sometime next week. Thanks.